Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I'm joined by the amazing Christian Hannahorror. Christian, how you doing today, man?
The amazing. I'm good. I learned something new today, how to use Zoom. So any day I learn something new is a good day. But I
There
am
you go.
good. I'm very good. How are you?
Dude, it's awesome to have you here, man. I've been so excited about this all week. Something we've been trying to get, cobbled together, but because of scheduling conflicts, it's been a little harder to make this happen. But I'm so glad it finally is. For those of you that don't know about Christian, he's a New Orleans native. He's a musician in the band Cold Canyons. Writes and records music for his own Patreon. Horror fan and YouTuber, Nightmare on Elm Street fanatic. But I want to talk about the YouTube here for a second, brother. Christian Hannah Horror,
Sure.
one of my favorite channels here. The links are down here in the description, guys. So you can not only check him out and subscribe on YouTube, but his social media links are down here as well. How long have you been doing the channel? And for the people that don't know it, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah. All right. How long have I been doing it? I think the first actual video I uploaded was like July of 2012. And it was just a random video. I had learned how to play the Puppet Master theme on piano, and I was like, Trey, my brother's name is Trey. I was like, Trey, can you record me playing this real quick? I'm just gonna throw it on YouTube. And that started a channel. It was pretty aimless for a while, and I eventually kind of worked it out a little bit better to what it is now. But yeah, so that's how long I've been doing the YouTube thing, and it's mostly what I do now. It really transformed into physical media. I really started to fall in love with physical media as the channel started. And just a lot of movie reviews and just whatever's on my mind, really. But it's 99% of the time horror is on my mind. So that's why the channel's actually just called Christian Hannah Horror. So that's what it is mostly.
You can see in the background all the amazing things that he has. I love the Monster Squad poster back there.
Oh, thank you.
I see Chucky. That's my favorite horror franchise, Child's Play. See him back there hanging out. So I definitely dig that. Do you have any new, and you also do the podcast as well with Nick, right?
Yes. Yes.
I have the links for that down here as well. So you guys can check that out. You guys all know Nick, the Lost River Drive-In from the channel. So do you have any new videos coming up that you could tell us about? Get everybody ready for it, because it's October, it's spooky season. I know we got a lot going on this month.
Certainly got a bunch of like Halloween related stuff. Those some of those 4Ks I'm getting. Right now I'm been doing a lot of like rankings, and those have been really fun. I think I'm actually doing Child's Play next, so right now I'm trying to figure out which one what my ranking's gonna be. So that's kind of fun. And then we do the podcast episodes on Sundays, and we're working out the topics right now. I know Nick's on, I think he's on his honeymoon, so it's kind of hard to get in touch with him, but we're figuring that out. But mostly the thing about my channel is like every time I try to plan stuff out, I ended up just scrapping it and just going with exactly like 5 minutes before I film something is usually spontaneous. I'm like, oh, let's just do this instead. So I
Sure.
try to plan stuff out, but it seems like every time I do, I just abandon it immediately and start doing whatever. But I am enjoying doing those ranking videos, so I'm really trying to at least crank 2 or 3 more out this month. So
That's awesome. I can't wait to watch your Child's Play ranking. Child's Play 3 is the best. Can't wait to see how your ranking goes. And like I said, that's my favorite franchise. And with the new show coming out, was it next week now for me and you? By the time you guys are watching this, I think the show is already premiered, and I hope you guys are digging it because it's freaking awesome. But I can't wait to see where you rank everything, man. That's going to be a whole lot of fun to check that out.
yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited. I'm really excited for
So,
the TV show.
Oh, I'm very excited for the TV show. All the cast they have on that is going to be a lot of fun. You are a big horror guy, and everybody that's watching, you can see in the background. And if you check out his channel, you'll see just how much and how intensely he is into horror. But it started somewhere. It always starts somewhere for us, man. So I want to go back to the past and talk about your first horror movie, the one that really got you hooked into the horror genre. And your first horror movie was?
It was it. I was talking to my grandma about this because I was trying to remember this, and she actually jogged my memory. Yeah, it was the miniseries It, and I remember. You want me to just tell the story?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, I remember. Excuse me. Let's see. I remember we went to like a mom and pop video store one day, and they had hey, these are for sale, like a for sale section. This was probably 95, 96. I was very young, but my grandma took us there one day, and she's a big like Dean Koontz, Stephen King fan. She reads a
Hmm.
lot. And I remember we were going to the used section where you could buy some tapes, whatever, and she saw Stephen King's It, and it was like that. I guess it was like that double pack VHS thing.
Yeah.
And she brought that home, and she was like, "I'll let y'all watch this, but if it's too scary, you got to tell me to stop." I mean, of course, I was petrified, but I didn't say anything. But that movie scared the hell out of me, and it was funny was my way of dealing with it was just every time I would go over to my grandma's house because she would babysit us during the summer a lot when my parents were working, and we would just spend almost every day over there. My way of dealing with it was just watching it often because it like contained the monster to the television, so it made it seem fake. I know that sounds weird, but maybe you understand.
I do.
Yeah. So
I
yes,
totally do, because if it's on the TV, it's not in my house.
exactly. So yeah, that movie was the first one that really scared the absolute hell out of me. Was it?
Hmm. And to this day, I mean, like I said, this is one of the only films. This and Alien is another one that I still have the VHS of, and I never upgraded to Blu-ray or DVD on these ones because there are certain movies that I think the grittiness of VHS really sticks with it and it makes it pop a little bit more, because when you enhance things a little too much, sometimes it takes away from the film. Sleepaway Camp comes to mind for me on that. The enhancement into 4K of Sleepaway Camp really takes away from a lot of that film. But with it, the miniseries, there's so many scenes in this movie that are just so influential, not only on us as horror fans and the horror genre, but this movie is the reason a lot of people won't watch horror movies, because it scared them that bad. Do you remember which scene it was that affected you the most?
Yeah. The main one. There's actually two, but I told you about the one
Mhm.
when I believe it's the first part. It has to be for the first part because they were kids. It's when Eddie Spaghetti is in the bathroom in that group shower thing, and you see the drain pop off, and it was a mixture between that weird. I don't know if it was stop motion or if it was some kind of claymation, whatever, what have you. I guess it's kind of the same thing, but that dream-like look of him opening the floor like that and then him popping out and just taunting him.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Because it is a mixture between Tim Curry just being so good at what he does and him coming out of the floor of a bathroom, which just seems so vile. And when he shows his teeth, that mortified me. So, I mean, of course, every time you go take a shower or something, or if you're in a bathroom and you see a drain, you want to back away from it. But another one I was thinking about this more, was silly as it sounds, was the Wolfman in the in I think it was part one as well.
Mhm.
That Wolfman in when was that Seth Green?
Richie.
Yeah, yeah. When he is in that it was almost like a boiler room, like that down there where
Yeah.
the dude, when he's the wolf, I remember that scared the hell out of me too as a kid. Now I as a big fan of werewolf movies and stuff, I love that. But as a kid, those two scenes scared the hell out of me. But the drain
Mhm.
scene is the worst. The drain scene is that's just the
Well,
absolute worst.
I've always said that anything that happens in a bathroom or a shower is always really bad, because that's when you're the most vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like that's when the vulnerability really peaks up. Like you look at Psycho, What Lies Beneath, Freddy's Revenge, all these bathroom scenes where you're the most vulnerable you can possibly be. Those are always the scariest for me, man. Those are what really, really fuck me up, is when
Uh-huh.
I'm supposed to be vulnerable. Um, so we talk about which scene affected you the most, Christian. And this is a movie. It's hard to pick two, and I will continue to call this a movie. I will not call it a miniseries, guys, because this is a film to all of us. A lot of
Yeah.
Stephen King's early work was done as miniseries, whether it be Rose Red, The Langoliers. A lot of these were done as made for TV movies, but they were made for TV movies. So I'm going to continue to call it a movie. I get a lot of people that give me shit about that. But
Go
in this
figure.
movie, there's a lot of influential scenes because we love these scenes so much. Do you remember what your favorite scene? And like you said, you watched it over and over to try to, get the fear out of you. What do you think your favorite scene from the film was?
Honestly, my favorite scene is when Ben walks up to like the marshy ground and he sees the sewer building, I guess what you call it, Pennywise's house.
Mhm.
And whatever that location is, I've always wanted to visit that because it's so terrifying. But really, it's when he sees his dad and his dad slowly turning into Pennywise. I don't know if it scared me so much or if I really loved this. I just really loved the atmosphere of the scene a lot. Probably that. I mean, that's the one I always I always look forward to. I love that shot of Ben looking at Pennywise. I'll call it his house for lack of a better word,
Sure.
but just because I'm from New Orleans, so like my backyard and my house really looked like that. We would garfish out of my backyard for God's sakes. I mean, if you took the movie Waterboy and you kind of took it back 40% of what Bobby Boucher's house looked like, that was kind of what my lifestyle was like. So that look of the scene, that really hit close to home, just the way that area looked. So I really
Mhm.
loved that. And when his dad turns into Pennywise slowly, and the way he's dressed so nice in his marine, I guess he was a marine or a army or I forget the branch of
Mhm.
military, but he's got this pristine, lovely suit on, and he's standing in the swamp. It's just
Yeah.
that contrast. I think that's an awesome shot.
I bring that scene up a lot because there's certain scenes from this film. This is a good segue into my next question. There's a lot of scenes from this film that really bummed me out that they didn't make it into the newer It movie. I do consider It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2 the same movie. Obviously, you couldn't have a 6-hour movie. So much like the old one, they split it into two halves. But I consider that the same film. And my thing is, there's that one. There's the scene of Bill looking at the photo album and Georgie doing the wink and Bill throwing. I wish they would have incorporated that into the newer film. But my question for you is, which of the films do you like more? The original
Oh
one with
God,
Tim Curry or the newer one with Bill Skarsgård?
I knew this was coming. Here's what's really here's this. I'll. It's not a really simple answer, but I'll try to contain this as much as I can. Tim Curry, all they did was put a camera in front of him. That's it. Okay. So when it comes to the clowns, Tim Curry is a god, in my opinion. He's one
Mhm.
of the greatest actors that's walked God's green earth. I do love the new movies too, especially part one. I think a lot of people were upset with part two. They didn't like the characters as much, although I liked part two. It was like kind of the movie was kind of like a haunted house ride, each scene where you're
Yeah.
going into a different. So I dug that. I've gone back and forth with this. I've changed my mind. The absolute pinnacle of it for me is, and I again, I know we're calling it movies. The absolute pinnacle of anything Pennywise for me is the 1990 part one. So because of that, I guess I'm gonna go with the original. But I
Mhm.
love, I do love. I mean, it's really cool to see. We kind of had like a new horror icon. I mean, that new Pill
Yeah.
Skarsgård Pennywise. You saw him in Walgreens for God's sakes right now for Halloween. So it's like it caught on. But as I've gone back, Tim Curry, all they did was put a camera on him.
Yeah.
That's it. And I'm not taking anything away from Bill, but I mean, Jesus Christ. That's Tim Curry. So I gotta go with my favorite of anything is part one of the original. So I guess I'll say part one for the answer.
See, and this is what's so funny. I've always said that I agree with you. Bill Skarsgård, amazing. The practical stuff he does with his eyes, everything he does is great. And here's what we're talking about. I am a bigger fan of Tim Curry's Pennywise, and this is my reasoning why. If I saw this Pennywise right here, and I was a little kid on the street, I'd fucking run the other way. Like the clown just looks scary as hell. But with Tim Curry's Pennywise, when he's just a clown, he looks like an approachable clown. He really is that John Wayne Gacy of a beautiful clown on the outside and a terrible monster on the inside. So I think that gives him the fear of, I think that he would have been able to capture me as a kid because I would have approached him like, I want a fucking dog balloon animal, bro. And then he would have taken me. But the other, Skarsgård, I'd have just ran the other way the first time I seen him because he always looked scary. So the sweetness of how Tim Curry looked and the way that he portrays the voice, everything, I got to give to Tim Curry as well. I think I'm in the minority that It Chapter 2 is my favorite of all of them. Bill Hader's performance alone seals the deal on that for me. He makes me laugh in that movie. He makes me cry. He makes me cringe. He makes me, that movie pushed him into being an actor for me, not a secondary character in a comedy film. So It Chapter 2 is probably my favorite of the bunch.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I think that's cool. I liked it chapter 2. I like that it was, to me, the movie almost felt like it's like a haunted house where once you get
Mhm.
it gets going, each scene was like a build up to a new kind of scare. The leper thing was always cool to me. But
Yeah.
one thing I'll say real quick, I'll just add, because I don't want people to think I don't like Bill. I think Bill's really cool. When you look at the opening scenes with the sewer with the kid, Bill did something really cool with he I think he dripped a little bit of drool from his mouth and stuff, and he had the cross-eye thing going on, and it's awesome. But what Tim Curry did as Pennywise in that scene, it's more subtle, but when he says the line "they float," his lip quivers a little bit, and it's the most chilling thing.
Yeah.
It creeps it terrifies me. And it's nothing touches Tim Curry to me. So, but I do love the It remake.
Mhm.
I do.
And I agree with you. And it's like, it's just like the new Freddy Krueger. Like the guy didn't do a bad job. I can't think of his name, but he was Ririk in
Jackie. Yeah.
Jackie Earl Haley. Yep. He did a good job as Freddy Krueger, but you can't touch Robert Englund. You know, it doesn't matter how great you play that part, you're not going to be able to live up to what Robert Englund did, in my opinion. Um, so as horror fans, Christian, we always look at the kills. We love the kills. We go into films looking at the kills. In the 1990 miniseries of It, what would you say your favorite kill is?
Favorite kill.
And that's a dark way of putting it, but which kill would you say affected you the most?
Huh. Um, this is gonna sound weird, but because of how bizarro the scene is, it's actually in part 2 when I think it was the guard in the prison gets approached by the Pennywise, and it's the suit, and you see that like the Doberman's head out of it. It's so bizarre looking. So I every time I see that, I feel really weird,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
And the way
just
the
the
slow motion's taking him back as he's screaming.
yeah, but like they really stood up like this animal. I obviously you can only see the frame a certain way, but it looks like it's a human body, and then there's just dog head coming out of it, and it's so bizarro. I people could say it looks cheap or it looks hokey, but to me, it's really just eccentric and just bizarre. And so like every time I see that, I'm like, oh my, that's just it sticks with me. It sticks with me. So that's probably the one from both parts that I think about more than anything. Also, when you see I say on a more serious note, but also when he gets hit with the foil piece and you see his face start to melt and stuff at the end. I know Pennywise isn't dead right there, but for at the time, he
Yeah.
escaped. But again, that claymation stop motion stuff where he's draining down into the that kind of stuff, whatever kind of special effects stuff. I love stop motion stuff. I understand it. It looks dreamlike. It looks like I wouldn't necessarily call it a lost art because everybody kind of, especially horror fans, know what it is. But I guess you don't see it done much anymore because of CGI. But I love that
Right.
kind of stuff. I think in certain aspects, CGI captures that feel like nothing else can. Sometimes it's not about looking realistic, which is another reason I think a lot of people had a problem with it chapter 2. I didn't think it was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to that stuff is all supposed to look realistic. It's a Paul Bunyan guy walking around, for God's sakes. It's not you know, but that's just me. But honestly, the Doberman head, that's just weird. So that stuck with me more than anything.
No, I'll give it to you, man. I love that. So, Christian, we talked about your first horror movie and how much this movie means to you being It. But now, my friend, I want to throw you a little bit of a curveball here. I
Okay.
want to go scream on you for a second. What's
Okay.
your favorite scary movie? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
The Return of the Living Dead.
Nice.
Yeah. That's
The
my
most
number one.
punk rock zombie movie of all time, man.
Yeah. That's my number one on the planet.
That's awesome, man.
That's my number one favorite movie.
That's awesome. Dude,
Yeah.
I love that film. And that film does not get the credit it deserves, man. The tongues, everything about that movie is just so incredible. I love Return of the Living Dead. Um, well, man, we always end this podcast with the same question, Christian. We're going to go back to It for a second. Now, we're
Sure.
going to rank this movie on a skull count. What we're doing, though, we're not being critics. We're not judging it on score. acting, production, nothing like that. We're judging this movie strictly on how much it affected you upon first viewing. So 0 skulls being the worst and 5 being the best. You can use half and quarter skulls. What would your ranking of the 1990 It be?
Without question, 5.
Mm-hmm. See, and that's why I had to change it up into how it affected us, because nothing gets a perfect score if we're looking at from being a critic. Obviously, there's not the perfect movie out there, at least in my opinion. But everything can affect us to the point to where we don't want to even, watch it again, or we want to watch it every single day. That's how much it affected us. So I got to give it to you, man. I love it, and I'm glad that we were able to talk about this.
Oh yeah, yeah. It makes me want to watch it. Now, it's been quite some time. I actually have the laser disc of it, and it has some deleted scenes that maybe were on
Really?
TV, but that's not on the VHS or the DVDs or the Blu-rays. It's not much, but there's a scene where Stanley the Stutterer,
Mhm.
the novelist, he comes home
Bill.
Bill, excuse me, Bill. It's been quite some time. I apologize. But Bill, when he comes home to Derry on the laser disc, you actually see him going to the library to look for Tim Reed. Forget his character's name too. God, I'm so bad at this. But I know the actor's name, Tim Reed, black guy. And when he
Right.
goes into the library, he actually sees like the shrine that they had built for him as the hometown author. And he sees all his books and stuff. It's not much, but it just shows that it kind of because you see him screenplaying, I think, in the beginning of parts 1 or 2 with his wife.
Mhm.
But when he comes home in part 2, you actually see like, they've built like a section from in the library about him as the hometown hero, and they show his books and the stuff he's gotten published. So I remember that in the Laserdisc, and I was like, I don't ever remember seeing this. So
Right.
just something cool that I didn't even know until I bought the Laserdisc, that there are scenes that aren't on the DVDs or anything. So
See, those are cool little things that we can always go back to. And I think that's super rad to be able to go back and watch these things. Like you said, watching it on Laserdisc, that is fucking dope.
mhm.
Like, that's so cool, man. And I remember watching, like, me and my family, like, I remember I was like 5 or 6 when this came out. And I remember watching on TV, like, this is what we did was we watched these on TV. And like, I perfectly, like, even when I watch it now, like, I remember there was a commercial here. There was a commercial here.
Yeah.
Like, I remember these so perfect. Like,
Yeah.
this is such a fun movie to watch. Everybody, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Christian, I really want to thank you for coming on, man. This was so great. I said, everybody, thank you for coming on. And everybody, thank you for watching. Sorry, my brain's all a mess. I do want to give this reminder one more time. All of Christian's links are down here in the description. Please go and subscribe to his YouTube. Please follow him on social media. He's got a lot of great things coming up, as we all do in October. Christian, don't go anywhere, man. I got a couple more questions for you.
I'm good.
Everybody else, thank you so much for watching. Keep talking horror. Stay what you are. And we'll see you guys soon.